There is a beautiful phase in life when the noise slows down, when the office stops calling, the alarms stop ringing, and suddenly you have time. Retirement. But let me ask you something gently. Is retirement truly the end of earning, or can it be the beginning of earning differently? Because I once met an elderly gentleman in a park. He was sitting calmly, feeding birds. I asked him, Uncle, do you miss work? He smiled and said, I don't miss work, I miss purpose. And that sentence stayed with me. Because what he was really saying was he didn't need more money, he needed meaningful engagement. And that is where today's message begins. There is a misunderstanding many people carry silently in their hearts. When they think about earning after retirement, a small voice inside says, shouldn't I stop now? Haven't I worked enough? Isn't it selfish to think about money again? And because of this inner guilt, many elderly people shut down possibilities that could actually bring them peace. But let me tell you something very gently, income after retirement is not about greed, it is about dignity. Let me share a small story. An old gentleman once told me, Beta, I have a pension. It is enough for food, but not enough for my freedom. I asked him, what do you mean by freedom? He said, freedom is when I can buy medicine without asking my son. Freedom is when I can give small gifts to my grandchildren without feeling like a burden. That is dignity. Money at this stage of life is not about luxury. It is about not depending emotionally on others for every small need. Even when children are loving and supportive, a parent sometimes feels a silent weight. I should not ask too much. That feeling can slowly become emotional discomfort. A simple income stream removes that discomfort. It is not about becoming rich again. It is about becoming emotionally independent again. And there is something beautiful here when you earn even a little. You don't just gain money, you regain confidence. You sit a little straighter. You speak a little lighter. You feel a little freer. Because dignity is not in how much you earn, dignity is in not feeling like a burden. So, after retirement, earning is not a step backward into work, it is a step forward into self respect. One of the biggest myths about retirement is this: now I must learn something completely new to earn. But life doesn't reward panic, life rewards clarity of identity. You already have something powerful, decades of experience. But the tragedy is, many people underestimate it because it feels ordinary to them. Let me explain. A retired teacher once said, I don't know what I can do now. But when I asked her a few simple questions, how to explain math to children, how to guide slow learners, how to manage classrooms, her eyes lit up. She didn't lose her skill, she lost recognition of it. And that is very common. We often think, if I cannot do something big and new, I cannot do anything at all. But the truth is, your past is not a limitation, it is your foundation. If you are a teacher, you can tutor, mentor, or guide students online. If you are in administration, you can help small businesses organize themselves. If you are a homemaker, you have mastered budgeting, discipline, multitasking, emotional intelligence, and time management better than most corporate professionals. The world has quietly started valuing these everyday skills. Even conversations, advice, or guidance can become valuable offerings. And here is the deeper truth: you don't need to reinvent yourself after retirement. You need to reconnect with yourself. Fear pushes you to think, I am outdated. But awareness tells you, I am experienced. And experience, when shared, becomes income. Start there. Not with fear of learning something new, but with respect for what you already carry. We live in a world obsessed with big results, big business, big money, big success. So when a retired person thinks about earning, they often imagine something large and overwhelming. But life does not begin with oceans. Life begins with drops. A small income stream may feel insignificant in the beginning. A few tutoring sessions, a small consultation, a home based skill, a small online service, and the mind says, what is the use of this small amount? But that question misses the point. Because small income streams are not about size, they are about stability and rhythm. Let me give you an analogy. A farmer does not worry about the ocean, he trusts the canal. He trusts the steady flow of water that reaches his field consistently. In the same way, after retirement, what matters is not sudden wealth but consistent flow. Even a small amount changes behavior. You stop depending completely on others. You gain financial breathing space. You feel mentally active. You remain socially engaged. And slowly, something interesting happens. That small stream grows. Because confidence attracts opportunity. A retired person who tutors one child eventually gets recommended to two more. A person who offers small consulting starts getting regular calls. A person who shares knowledge online slowly builds an audience. It never feels like a big business at first. It feels like a small activity. But over time, it becomes a steady rhythm of income and purpose. And here is the deeper insight: peace does not come from sudden abundance, peace comes from predictable stability. And small streams provide exactly that. We are living in a very unusual time in human history. Earlier, money belonged mostly to physical strength, land, or formal jobs. But today, the world has changed its definition of value. Now, value comes from experience, wisdom, clarity, guidance, and problem solving ability. And this is where retired individuals actually hold a silent advantage. Because experience is something time cannot fake. Let me explain. A young person may have knowledge, but an older person has tested knowledge. They have seen failures. They have handled pressure. They have solved real problems, not just theoretical ones. And the world is slowly realizing this. That is why consulting, mentoring, teaching, advising, and guiding have become powerful income streams today. You don't need to compete with the young, you complement them. There is a quiet dignity in saying, I don't know everything, but I have seen enough to guide you. Even small contributions matter. Helping a student understand life decisions, guiding a small business owner, teaching basic skills, sharing life lessons. Online, the modern world respects clarity more than complexity. And here is something beautiful. When you share your experience, you don't lose it, you multiply it. Because knowledge shared becomes influence, and influence can become opportunity. So, retirement is not the end of your professional value, it is the beginning of your wisdom economy phase. This might be the most important shift in mindset. Many retired people fail not because they lack ability, but because they overthink scale. They say, I must start something big, I must earn a lot, I must compete with younger people. And in that pressure, they freeze. But life after retirement is not about pressure, it is about rhythm. Let me explain this simply. A successful retired income stream should feel like morning walks, light conversations, gardening, reading, not stress, not urgency, not competition. Start small. 1 hour a day, one skill, one simple offering, that's it. Because rhythm builds sustainability. When something becomes part of your daily life gently, it does not feel like work. It feels like living. And this is important because at this stage of life, mental peace matters more than financial ambition. You are not building a company to impress the world. You are building a routine that keeps you alive, active, and independent. And when rhythm is right, income naturally follows. Because consistency is more powerful than intensity. Retirement is not nature saying, stop. It is life whispering, now live differently. And if you can create even a small, steady income stream, something quietly powerful happens. You stop feeling dependent. You stop feeling irrelevant. You stop feeling left behind. Instead, you begin to feel, I still have something to give. And that feeling is the real wealth of old age.